I think the UK housing market is grinding to a catastrophic halt from a point of view of transactions. And that hurts everybody. And I have got Housing Stig on the line, also known as Alex Groundwater, but much better to refer to him as Housing Stig for the purposes of this conversation. Say hi, Alex.
Hello, everyone.
Okay. Who has no idea what I'm about to say, what we're about to talk about, and is just here as someone for me to rant at about the frustrations that I'm having. Because my efforts, right, as I've stated, right, my goal is a home for everyone. Now, that can only be achieved if moving home is relatively straightforward and possible. Okay, it's never going to be easy. I get that. But it's just getting harder and harder at the moment, much, much harder. And we're now late winter, early spring 2023. And it's been 6 months since I did my video, 8 Reasons UK House Prices Will Collapse, in August 2022. And back then, I was met with astonishment and bewilderment and laughter and mockery. And there was nobody. There were literally a very small handful of people who privately contacted me and said, "Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right." But everyone else in the industry, especially a lot of agents, were just literally going, "Ha ha ha, Charlie! It's supply and demand, mate. They're going up. House prices are going up. It's really busy. We're just going to keep selling houses. It's fine. You're just whatever. Knock yourself out, Charlie." And I was laughed at, and I doubled down in September. And anyway, here we are now, 6 months later. And the purpose of this, and if it turns into a rant, I apologize in advance. It may well turn into a rant because I may have already had 1 or 2 Atlantic ales.
You see, you've almost taken over my normal role, but hey, go for it.
Well, just chime in anytime, right? Just jump in on top of me. My rant is this. In the last 7 days, I have had more grief, trolling, and outright hatred from estate agents, both publicly and privately, than at any time so far. And what none of them seem to understand is that I'm on their fucking side. Like, I am their, I know that they don't think so, but I am their best friend. And literally, had they bothered to even consider the possibility that what I was saying may have had some merit, then they may not be staring down the barrel of a fucking gun of no transactions from which to make a living. Now, I know that there are some agents who are doing fine because the really good agents are still selling houses because they're intelligent. They do look at what's actually happening. They don't bullshit themselves that, hey, it's fine, just be positive, yeah? And they go, no, it's tougher. Things are changing. We'll be realistic. We won't list stuff that we can't sell because that's a waste of everyone's fucking time and a waste of the agent's money. We'll just list clients that are intelligent and need to get moved. They're properly motivated, put deals together, and we'll continue. And there are good agents out there, including the official best agent in the UK, who agrees with me and has commented that there's no point in pretending that things aren't getting hard in the economy and in life in general. There's just no point. It's like, why would you make your own job harder by saying to clients who are more than aware of the fact that things, generally speaking, in the whole country and economy are getting harder, and going, hey, it's fine. The property market hasn't been touched. Everything's just flying off the shelves like normal. I mean, I've seen estate agent marketing this week that's been sent to me going, house prices are up year on year. Prices are still rising. You should sell your house with us. Like, when you tell your clients that, what do you think's going to happen? They're going to go, oh, well, this agent, I mean, bear in mind, a lot of vendors and house sellers and movers don't spend much time studying our country's macroeconomics, political landscape, and long-term future, poring over spreadsheets like me and Alex do, and numbers and crunching. They don't know, and so they will take the word of a reasonably proficient-sounding local agent who goes, oh, yeah, everything's fine actually here. I mean, yeah, don't worry about the mainstream media headlines. Everything's fine here. List your property with us. Sign up to a nice 26-week contract, and we'll sell your house for you. And the vendors will go, oh, okay, and they'll trust them. And the point is, this is a lose-lose for the seller and the agent, I've had multiple comments today on videos from sellers going, we wanted to sell our house. We went and talked to all the agents. They all said roughly the same thing. We picked the one we liked the most. We've dropped our price 15% already. Still got no viewings.
Yeah.
We don't know what to do. And I'm, like, when you tell that kind of story to estate agents, it just kind of bounces off their ears. And I'm talking about ordinary, average agents, not the good ones, right? Because it's just so important everyone remembers this. The fact that everyone thinks all estate agents are the same is one of the reasons that we are in this terrible situation. And by the way, a market grinding to a halt, and let me just show you something, right? It's not just some parts of the market, even the ultra super prime market. Let me pop this up on screen for you, Alex, just so that people got something to read while I rant. Yeah. I told you I was going to rant.
Yeah. Well, you started well.
I'm just getting warmed up. I'm just getting fucking warmed up. Hang on a second. Let's just go like that.
Oh, yeah, I read that earlier.
So this is a column on Bloomberg written by a guy called The Secret Agent, who is a broker of ultra prime, very high value deals. And basically, there's a line in here where he says, the deals we've been working on have fallen like dominoes over the last few weeks. And okay, and so now, let me go back to my rant about the fact that I'm upset that agents are upset with me, because actually, if they listen to me, they would be doing better for themselves and their clients. Okay, because what they've all forgotten is this: it is not an estate agent's job to make house prices go up. It's not an estate agent's job to predict house prices. It's an estate agent's job to help someone move out of their house so that they can move into their next house. That is the beginning and end of an agent's job. Hi, I'll get your house sold so you can leave that home and move into your new home and on with your life. Whatever the market's doing, that's the job of an estate agent, right?
Yeah.
So I've never understood why they give a fuck whether prices are going up or down. And the professional agents don't. It's like, if I was an agent, I'd be saying, prices go up, prices go down. My job is to get you moved. Do you want to move? Yeah? If you're only going to move because I'm going to bullshit you that there's some fantasy fucking price you can get for your house, sorry, I'm not your agent. You need to go with one of the other monkeys down the road. But if you actually want to move house, I can help you. No, you're not going to get that price for your house because the market's changed. And it's like, literally, honesty pays if you're an estate agent. You would get sellers going, you would get intelligent sellers listening to you. And when you've got the head in the clouds, greedy fantasy sellers going, well, I want that much for my house. Well, then you better go and find an agent who thinks that they might get that for you, because I can't. Because I, as an agent who get paid nothing if I don't sell your house, I'm not going to waste my fucking time and my brand trying to sell your house for a price that you think it's worth when it's not worth that. Now, for anyone who hasn't seen my channel before, I'm not an agent. I've never been an agent. I've been a supplier to agents for 25 years, which, by the way, reminds me of one other thing. Alex, I will let you get a word in edgeways in a minute.
That's quite all right. I'm just enjoying.
This is such sad news. Douglas and Gordon, one of my biggest clients in the early 2000s, has gone into administration today. And they were one of the great agents, probably my favorite agency brand in London, because they got the balance right. It was a fun place to work. The people, they looked after their staff, they looked after their customers, and they knew their patch. They were really professional. I worked really closely with a managing director guy called Ivor Dickinson for a long time. And this is going back 20 years. He was my client. And Douglas and Gordon was one of the first customers to buy the CRM system that I designed. It was the first web-based CRM system for agents. And all the Douglas and Gordon branches, for those of you watching from outside London, Douglas and Gordon had about a dozen branches across London back in those days. And I was providing a system that allowed them to see all their offices' figures. They'd never been able to do this before. And I got to understand the dynamics and the relationship between number of people registering, how many viewings that would make, how many viewings it would take to get an offer, how many offers it would take to get a deal agreed, and how many agreed deals it would take to get an exchange. I understood the scales, the metric. I got the overview. I could see the numbers. Okay, it was fascinating because I had lots of different clients using the software, and therefore I could see how many viewings per offer, which was one of the most powerful productivity metrics for an estate agent. How many times have you got to show someone around a house before you can get a fucking offer? Yeah. And I could see this. So 20 years ago, I was learning to really deeply understand the financial dynamics of estate agency and the timings and how long it would take things to happen. So yeah, very, very sad. They were one of, I've actually made lifelong friends from some of the clients at Douglas and Gordon, who I know will be really sad as well. And their Christmas parties were rock and roll, actually literally rock and roll. They had a band. I played the drums in their company band, and that's how I got the gig with Lloyd Grossman's band. Yeah. Anyway, so, but sorry, back to the point, because I am rambling a little bit. The point I'm making is, if you can only win business as an estate agent by trying to talk the market up or trying to gloss over everything or trying to, quote, be positive, you're going to make your job incredibly hard. You're going to make it unlikely that you're going to sell that person's property at all, and you're going to crash and burn and run out of money and go out of business. Sorry, that's what's going to happen if you don't understand that to get properties sold in the market that we're now in, which I warned you about 9 months ago was when I did a video to agents, May last year. It's there for all to see on the Best Agent YouTube channel. Early warning. I was sounding the alarm. Guys, there's going to be a house price crash. No one listened. Like a couple of people listened, actually. A couple of really high profile. Anyway, so I have to say, Alex, what I was not anticipating, I said the Mexican standoff would happen, and that has happened. Yeah. But what I didn't expect was for the Mexican standoff to get to the point where it like freezes in frame and everything fucking stops. And what I'm saying in this video is that is what I think is happening at the coalface today. It's not being reported. No one's reporting it. But the Financial Times did an article this week, which I actually talked about in a video this morning to agents. Is it Friday? Yeah. Saying that a housing market freeze, as in stagnation, is worse than a crash.
Well, certainly for estate agents.
And anyone who needs to move.
Yes. I mean, look, I don't know which stats you're looking at in terms of transaction volumes. I mean, just a cursory glance at the HM Revenue and Customs site, because they obviously are very interested in stamp duty. They're suggesting that seasonally adjusted this January was 11% lower than last January. But I've heard numbers much higher than 11% in terms of the reduction in transactions. I don't know if they're accurate.
Well, first of all, those are a few months old.
Well, they're claiming this is January to January. So this is the month of January. Yes. Seasonally adjusted transactions in 22 were 11% less than in 23.
No, I've seen that figure. Yeah, I've seen that figure. And it was 27% down on December.
Correct.
Now,
but you can't really compare January and December.
No, you can't, of course. But I think somewhere in that data is also that's the lowest January. I can't remember now. I see so much data every day.
What I was going to say, and this is only very local, because obviously I've been quite interested in the Putney market recently, given waiting for the renewal on my rent. But at the moment, looking at the sales side across all of the estate agents in Putney, 40% of the properties that are on the market to sell have already been reduced. I mean, that's an unusual statistic, that so many properties and are still on the market despite having been reduced, but it's now at 40% of everything that is.
Well, on the stats show, I'm going to play you a clip in a minute, which I want to react to, which talks about that kind of statistic. Like, let's just remind ourselves, right, that advertised price reductions only happen when a property that needs to sell because otherwise why would you reduce the price, is getting no interest. If you're getting any interest at all from a property without dropping its price, you can usually get an offer out of that interest, and you might sell it for less than the advertised price. But if you're actually having to lower the public asking price, that is an admission that we got no interest in this property at that price. So this is such another early warning about how fast house prices are falling. And it's not just house price, it's like, well, I'm freezing up here because I literally, in my head, I've got all these different points I want to make. And which one do I go with? Let's just go. Let me play you this.
Okay.
Let me play you this clip. Now, I should be very careful and introduce this properly. So, Christopher Watkin is a really good industry colleague, friend of mine, who I have a huge amount of respect and time for, because actually Christopher Watkin and I share the same end goal. Okay, we want the property market to be better, we want movers to get a better experience, and we want good agents to get more business. And on those objectives, we are aligned. Now, on how to achieve those objectives, we are not aligned. Okay, and this is where my frustration comes, because Christopher is saying on a regular basis to agents, don't be negative, be positive, it's going to be okay. And as I'll show you in a minute, he's like, look at the stats, and you can hear how he, even in the face of incontrovertible worst figures for 7 years, he's saying, yeah, so they're broadly in line with about 5 years ago, and you'll hear it, right? And and I'm going to show you this, and then I'm going to show you a conversation I had with him on LinkedIn today, publicly in the comments, because I want to discuss his response to this. Because my point is this, and this I think is where part of my frustration comes. I am hearing on a daily basis about agents staring into the abyss, professionally, commercially, and personally. I have seen cold, hard panic in the eyes of someone I was having a video call with this week because of he said it's just stopped.
Yeah,
it's off a cliff. And he was talking about, like, I just, I knew we were going to be into a tough market. I wasn't expecting this, and I don't know what to do. I literally don't know what to do. And because I have derived almost all of my income for the last 20 years from estate agents as my clients, I care about estate agents, especially good ones. I don't want them to go out of business unless they're proper shysters, in which case, the good riddance to them, like fucking purple bricks, good riddance to them. They're up for sale.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, that's that. I don't want to digress. So the purpose of this video, and Christopher will probably watch this video. I'll ask him to watch it. And in fact, he and I have been messaging today. And I say this with deep compassion and respect for him, for everything that he does for the industry. I think that his narrative, like, so he calls me a doommonger, right? And says, and he never names me, but he's talking about doommongers and crash, and he calls it bollocks, and he says to disregard the doommongers. I am saying that if there's a fucking tsunami coming, you want to know. You don't want to hear someone saying, no, it's fine, stay in the water, stay on the beach. Be positive, guys, be positive. Don't listen to the doommongers. You want to know there's a fucking tsunami coming so you can get out the fucking way. And the earlier you hear about it, the earlier you start running for the, God, I'm not on screen, am I? That's probably a good thing. I've got to rearrange the screen layout here.
There you
go. Let me do.
Yeah, but Charlie, I agree with you entirely. It's always better to know what's coming down the line, even if for some people who have bought recently, they may find themselves in a very difficult position. It means they could change other things that they're doing with their finances.
Yeah.
And for agents, it changes the way that they structure their business in terms of how they win business, how they market. There's so many things that can be done going into this, what we both think will be a very difficult period. But if you don't know about it, then there's nothing that you will do.
And this is my point. And Christopher has a very large audience of agents who listened and watched all of his content. and they trust him because he is a trustworthy guy. Christopher is a man of integrity, right?
You've always said that you guys are friends and get on
Yeah.
well.
Yes. I think he's woefully misguided with the advice he's giving to agents, because what it sounds like he's saying is, don't worry, it's going to be fine. Yes, yes, prices are coming down. And he says, yes, you've got to make sure you're getting realistic sellers. And yes, you've got to work your clients and you've got to work harder, but it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Well, it depends. Whether it's going to be fine or not depends on all kinds of stuff. But so let me just play this. Let me just play this clip.
Headlines to grab people's attention. I think the combination of sellers being more about their local property markets, and what we're kind of seeing at the moment is, interest rates have gone down, from, for a 15% first time buyer mortgage, from just looking at my stats on the other screen, down from 5.9 in October to 4.8. And you can get sub 4 mortgages now on a 5-year if you've got a decent deposit. I think, house prices, the prices that are being paid today are not the same stupid levels that were 12 months ago. So of course, house prices are coming down. Or you could look at it another way, saying, well, the price that's being paid is less, which means house prices are less. Is that a price crash? No, it's not. But we can all put house price crash doommonger headlines to grab people's attention. I think the combination of sellers being more realistic on their pricing, and and the number of sales, which you can see here, is still not, is really good. I think expectations are not bad. That still means that agents have to risk them on the right price. They have to work their stock, and there's no point in taking on overpriced crap if you ain't going to sell it. Let's just have a whiz through.
So, a quick reaction to that, right? You hear he's calling out the doom mongers and price crash, and there's not going to be one. Okay, now look at this graph that's on the screen now.
I'm not an expert, and I don't know anything really about estate agency. However, as you've said repeatedly, the price of the property is relatively immaterial, but the number of transactions are very material to how well estate agents do. Yes. And to suggest that the number of transactions to week 7 in 23 that we just saw in that slide is comparable to the pre-COVID times, when those are averaging, just from looking there, about 109,000, and we currently are at 97,000. That's a big gap. That's a whole bunch of people who are not getting commission or their percentage from their transaction on a property, regardless of whether the price has dropped 20% or not.
Yeah. And yet he doesn't say on that graph that's on screen now, that is actually a good 10% below the lowest year in the last 7 years.
Yeah.
And the effects of this downturn are not yet being fully felt. And so it's reasonable to expect that there is a possibility, just being careful about the worst case scenario, that things could get worse and therefore transactions get worse. But he doesn't say that. So he goes on to say more stuff.
Paid is less, which means house.
So first of all, okay, on this slide here, gross sales, okay? And again, it's the lowest one.
Yourself against 16, 17, 18, and 19. Okay. Fall throughs again.
Right. This is the percentage of deals that have fallen through.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
yeah, it's very clear.
Right. It's very clear. Now listen to what he says. Listen to what he says.
I'm pretty out. There's nothing. Just shout at mate if you see something that you want to talk about, and then price change.
Sorry, let's just play that again, right? Because to me, that is very important data. Hang on, where is it now? No, sorry.
Go and look at your CRM and compare yourself against 16, 17, 18, and 19. Okay, fall throughs.
Yeah, so listen to that. So this is fall throughs. Now, is fall throughs an important metric if you are an agent or a buyer or a seller?
Of course it is.
Let me tell you something, right? Cold hard fact. Deals falling through cost estate agents more than anything else. Nothing costs agents more than a deal that's fallen through. The amount of work they had to do to get the listing, get the buyers, get the viewings, get the offers tied up, get the deal agreed, and get it progressed, for it to then fall through when they haven't paid anything. And we're looking at the highest fall throughs for 7 years, and this is his reaction to it.
Again, I'm pretty out. There's nothing. Just shout up, mate, if you see something that you want to talk about, and
that's it.
Oh, okay, Charlie. So I like a bit of maths, so I'm just messing around in the background here. So we've got roughly, if you go back to that graph of fall throughs, I would suggest that they are roughly 2.5% higher than they were 18-19, let's say. And I'm being generous there, because if you go earlier, obviously they're a lot lower. But let's just look at 18-19.
Yeah.
And let's call it 2.5%, which I think is reasonable. Now, if the average property price is £270,000,
yeah,
roughly.
So this is percentage as a percentage of agreed deals.
Yeah, I get that. So we saw that we've had 99,700 deals, yes?
Yes.
So that means an extra 2,500 have fallen through.
Yeah.
Now, the house, the average house is 270,000, yeah? What percentage will an estate agent take?
1.5.
1.5. Okay, let me just do that. So what we're saying is estate agents have therefore, through these fall throughs, earned just over £10 million less this year.
No, that's just in a week.
Sorry,
okay.
There we go. This week they've earned £10 million less.
Yeah. So and my point is that as a man who I admire and respect, who has the ear of a lot of estate agents, to gloss over that piece of his own data like it's nothing.
Yep.
I mean, he literally doesn't even fucking acknowledge it, and move on to the next one. And by the way, watch what he does in the next one. I think he's not serving his audience as well as he could be. Just listen to the next bit.
Well, hang on 1 second, Charlie.
Yeah.
Sorry, 1 second. Bear in mind that 99,000 was already 10,000. I'm being generous. That is 10,000 less.
Yeah.
If we use the same metric, and we say, okay, so that was 10,000 less transactions.
Yeah.
At £270,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do that metric, and we multiply that by 0.015. That is 40,000. Sorry, £40 million in the week that they've not earned, that they would otherwise have expected to. So in total, estate agents' earnings for week 7 are 50 million down.
Yeah.
I've got to tell you, if that was my business, I'd be thinking that's quite a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. Now listen to what happens next.
Nothing. Just shout up, mate, if you see something that you want to talk about.
I can't believe that guy on there is Ben Madden, who's a really good really good estate agent, a guy who I like. I can't believe he didn't shout out, because that's like, oh, hang on a second, fall throughs are very high. That is a real threat to estate agents' businesses. Anyway, on to the next.
Price changes as percentage of listings. Oh, it says week 6. That should say week 7. I will shoot the person that arranged that myself. That's me, by the way. Okay, right, let's move on.
He didn't even acknowledge what was on that screen.
No. Just skip that.
Sorry, I've got to because look at what's on that screen.
Yep.
Right? Now, price changes. So that is people lowering their prices.
Oh, come on, Charlie. It could be people raising them.
Look at that. So now, but the thing is, this is good and bad. There are 2 things to take away from this. Number 1, more than half of all the listings have had their prices reduced in a week. Let me say that again. More than half of all the listings have had their prices reduced in 1 week.
Yeah.
Right? If that is not indicative of a house price collapse, I don't fucking know what is. And but so that's a price collapse. But on the other hand, where this is good news for agents, and I'm amazed he didn't pick up on this, if you've got that many people dropping prices, that improves your chances of getting a sale agreed.
Yes,
The
buyers
more
will
people,
come to the market at some
the
point.
more people publishing price reductions equals a better chance of more deals happening. So therefore, that is good news. But Chris didn't even think it was worth mentioning. He didn't even think it was worth commenting on. And
I will shoot the person
he worries about
this
this as week 6 instead of week 7 on that.
That's me, by the way. Okay, right. Let's move on.
So that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about that. And actually, those graphs are. Oh, there was one other graph on here I wanted to show. So, yeah, national number of price changes. I mean, look at that graph, right?
Yeah.
Some of
By the
these
way, Charlie, can I just check something? The transactions, the 99,000 transactions, was that just for week 7 or 2 week 7? So it was 7 weeks worth.
Well, I don't know. It's a bit strange because annually there are about 1 million transactions. So that cannot be a week's worth. What it could be is it could be the pipeline nationally of agreed deals.
Okay. Well, that changes that 40 million pounds missed out by the 10. But there's still, whichever way you cut it, there's 40 million pounds of lost earning there.
Yeah.
It's just over what time period it is.
But I mean, anyone looking at that graph goes, oh, okay, cumulative net sales year to date week 7 are 10% below the previous lowest.
Yeah.
That's worthy of comment, but no. And then fall throughs are up 20 to 22%. That is painful and bad for agents. And price changes are up at the highest rate. Okay. So anyway, I will put a link to this article so anyone who wants to can go and watch it. But I'll stop there but my point is, I'll just keep coming back to the point, right? The point is that if you want to help estate agents get moves done, which is presumably what their clients want, okay, so it helps everyone, not just the estate agents, then trying to gloss over with baseless optimism and positivity what are clearly mathematical trends and facts staring you in the face, showing you how bad things are, is not helping anybody. It's just not helping anyone. It's not helping the agents. It's not helping the movers or the buyers. It just isn't. So anyway, I'm ranting about it, but because I don't think anything I can say on this channel is actually going to change what's happening in the market. It looks like the market's going to go into a sort of deep freeze. And honestly, I can't see. I mean, I think we're going to have to wait and see what happens in the budget before there's any.
Yes,
see what
that'll be a big. That could potentially be a big change.
Yes, the budget could jolt things. One of the things is, so I get people who want to sign up with my mortgage brokers or who talk to my mortgage brokers on this channel, and I've been having a steady stream of those leads since it's supposed to be what, 6 months now, 6 months. They have just dried up to nothing.
Yeah, nobody's looking.
It was unbelievable. And I've spoken to them. So they've shriveled up to a trickle, right? There was a healthy number of people inquiring and talking to those guys, and it's like on a daily basis, and it's shriveled to a trickle, even though my YouTube views are at record highs. So my audience is growing, but new mortgage inquiries coming through my audience have shriveled to very, very low levels based on what I'm just used to the last 6 months. So what do we do about this? I think what I want anyone watching this video to think is, all right, well, if we need to, because first of all, people who are selling for financial reasons, as in looking to crystallize their gains, I'm sorry, I've got no tears to shed for you guys. Okay. It's disappointing if you're not going to make the money you hope to make, the profit, you haven't got the profit you hoped. I know that for some, and Alex, I'm talking about people who bought 3 years ago and saw the COVID rise and are trying to get out of the top of missing it, right? I'm not talking about people who bought 10 years ago and are seeing, a third of their pension fund being decimated. Because my concern is for movers, not people cashing in their chips, not flippers, not speculators, not investors, not people cashing in their chips. Good luck to all of you guys, but you're not my concern. My concern are people who need to get into a home or people who need to get out of one home and into another home. My concern is liquidity and fluidity in the moving market. right? Because that's what needs to happen. Otherwise, people can't move on with their lives. And it's, I keep on saying this, it's about the move, not the money. So my question is, because I'm still sticking to my 35%, right? I mean, I review that. I review on a daily basis. Mine's 35% nominal, which is even lower than your 30 to 40% real terms.
Correct.
Expectation. And why am I? And by the way, you know, I'm not just sticking to it blindly, going la la la. I'm not being dogmatic about it. I am reviewing it daily. And what I'm feeling happening in the market now is worse than anything I've expected. And I don't know what's going to happen. And now, what I would say to this, if you are a seller or a buyer who's moving because you need to move. So buyers, if you've found a property that you like and you can afford it and you're not putting yourself at risk to buy it and you want to be in a home, buy it.
Yeah.
Buy it. Don't stick to your guns over a couple of percent difference on the price.
Because it's about your life. It's about actually living the life you want to live at the end of the day.
Exactly.
You can timing things. I mean, it doesn't matter whatever you do in life, timing is critical and also totally out of your control in most situations.
Yeah.
And people get lucky and some people get less lucky. But exactly as Charlie's just said, if you have the ability to purchase the house that you want to be in, and all of the other criteria match up in that you have a secure job and all the rest of those good things.
Yeah, and you're not at risk.
Yeah, don't make the mistake that some of us have made in the past and sit there going, oh, well, but I think maybe another year or two and things will be better, because inevitably things are not always better.
No.
And
exactly right.
You can end up in the place where you didn't think you'd be for quite a long period of time. So don't procrastinate.
Yeah, I'm aware that some of my viewers might be thinking, hang on, Charlie, you're giving real mixed messages here. But let me be really clear. I've always said that securing a home that you want to live in is more important than saving a few £1,000.
Yeah.
I've always said that, and I maintain it now. The caveat is, when I say don't overpay, I mean do not put yourself at risk where there is a high chance. I've had a heartbreaking email today from someone. I'll come on to in a minute. Do not put yourself in the position where you are at uncomfortable risk of losing your home. That is what I mean when I say don't overpay. Okay, that's so. I'm not, when I'm saying don't overpay, I'm not saying to those cash buyers out there who can easily afford to actually just get in and move in. I'm not saying stand your ground for a few £1,000 on principle. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're not doing yourselves any favors, because you're depriving yourself of moving on with your life, getting to the home. You're not doing the seller any favors. The seller may have their reasons. I'm not saying who's right or who's wrong, what the right price is. I never get into what the right price is. Okay. You're not doing the agents any favors, and whatever you think of agents, we need them, and we need the good ones especially. Okay, and we don't want good agents going out of business, because that honestly doesn't help anybody.
The problem, Charlie, I mean, just as I'm listening to you, and I agree with everything you said, the problem that we've got is both of us, I think, believe that if you don't overpay, if you have a secure job, if you have the correct funding, if you're not putting yourself, in dire straits, then you should move and go to the place that you want to live. However, that's the problem. That is the crux of the issue. There are so few people who would be your normal first-time buyers, people between the age of, let's say, 20 and 40, who are not putting themselves in dire straits just to buy the smallest property that they would consider as their next home. That's the issue. It is a mixed message, I guess. I mean, I agree with what you're saying, and I agree with the sentiment totally. But what you're saying to someone is, well, don't overpay, and as long as you've got the security, then you should move house. And they're sitting there going, well, yeah, I can not overpay, but even with the reduced amount, I'm still stretching myself as thin as possible, because house prices are very high, and my salary is quite low.
But I get messages on a daily basis from people saying, oh, they won't accept my offer. We're £5,000 apart. I really want it, but I just don't want to overpay.
No, in that
But no,
situation,
but then they say, but I could actually afford it. And I'm like, then you haven't followed my advice, which is you haven't offered your maximum comfortable offer. You're
Yeah.
trying to save yourself a few thousand quid. And that is always a mistake. If you can afford those extra few thousand quid,
yeah,
and that will get you into your home, even if you feel like the seller has won, actually they haven't. You've got your home. It is just, okay, mixed messages. Think of it as this way. It's not a mixed message. It's a delicate balance.
mhm,
Only you, the mover, the buyer, know your personal financial situation, your personal risk appetite, your personal life situation with your work and your future, and whether you're going to have a family or not, and all those things. All of these things rank up to, or add up to, the importance of getting into that home.
yeah,
And for some people, getting into home is more important than others. You need to be in there for a job. You need to be in there for your kids' school. You need to be there for life reasons, okay? And if you are in a position where you can afford to get somewhere, then get in there. Get in there. You'll be so relieved. There are times it's worth paying a premium if it's within your maximum comfortable price. That's my caveat. Don't go beyond what's comfortable. Okay, if it's not comfortable, only you can work out what that is, right? But if it's not comfortable, don't do it. Because I've had an email today from someone who bought with Help to Buy 6 months ago.
God, Help to Buy is one of the, yeah.
In London,
Well, you
right?
know my views on that.
They bought with Help to Buy 6 months ago, and they've emailed me going, I'm feeling very ashamed. They basically said, I was blinded by the excitement of getting somewhere.
Yeah,
I've now realized my mistake, and I want to get out. I want to sell now. I don't want to be stuck in this place because I will want to be moving 2 years from now, and I don't think I'm going to be able to move 2 years from now. I want to get out now. I know I'm going to take a 20 grand hit. That's their assumption. And they've asked for my advice. They said, please, happy. They want me to advise them, which is a very difficult thing to do. But there are people who've just bought who are going,
yeah,
shit, we didn't
yeah.
think this through. We didn't think it through. We got blinded by excitement of buying, and we've overstretched ourselves. And it's not even so much the finances, it's if we want to sell in 2 years' time, we're not going to be. She actually said, I don't say she, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. The sender said, I think we're already in negative equity. Well, you bought a brand new property at the very top of the market, so yes.
Yes. Yeah.
You will be, almost certainly. If you had to use Help to Buy, then you're obviously leveraged to the hilt.
Yep.
Yes, you are definitely in negative equity almost immediately, even if prices weren't coming down because it's a new build. And the only way out of this is to get people moving again. And so sellers. So sorry, Alex, go on.
Sorry, that is worth mentioning because a lot of people I don't think realize that new builds almost always lose money.
Yeah.
Immediately after it's like taking a new car off the forecourt. I don't know if you've mentioned this to your audience before, but it surprises some people. They move into a new build and it's suddenly worth 5, 10, 15 grand less than they paid for it.
The property is not worth the salesperson's commission and the profit margin.
Exactly.
You can't then sell it at the same price again. It's not worth it. It's not new. It hasn't got all kinds of stuff. So yeah, there's an immediate driving off the forecourt type of discount. What's depreciation, isn't there?
Yeah,
there is. Now, so I think the message I'm trying to give in this discussion to people is that if moving is important, and let me be really clear, moving, not cashing in financially, not asset allocation or any of that kind of shit. If moving is important and you are a seller or a buyer, do not hold out for a few thousand quid. You will look back and kick yourself. You will look back and kick yourself. If moving is important, get moved if it's not overextending you and if it's not uncomfortable. Now, let's just address, Alex, I think it'd be worth talking briefly about the sellers who are just sticking to their guns.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make a statement here that I'd like to know whether or not you agree or disagree with it. And it's this. If your house is on the market and it's been properly, let's just assume that you've got good photographs and it's on the agent's website and it's on the national websites, it's on Rightmove, Zoopla, on the market, and on Best Agent, and no one's offering you any money at all, or not offering you anywhere near what you want.
It's overpriced.
No. So I want to word it differently, because I want them to try, because sellers hear that and they disregard that word. I'm trying to say to them, the market for your property is not where you want it to be right now. That is an incontrovertible fact. The market for your property is not where you want it to be right now. If you need or want to move and it requires you to sell that property, and you have had people view it and had offers in, and the agent's gone, there's no one else, that's the market for your property. Now, I'm assuming that they haven't done a terrible job of giving it exposure. Let's just assume it's marketed in all normal places, okay?
Yeah.
Or not, and it's not terribly presented, and it's actually, like, let's assume that you haven't gone with an agent that's so bad that they've done terrible photographs and not listed it properly. That actually it's a perfectly desirable property, but the people that you're selling it to can no longer borrow the amount of money necessary to pay what you think it was worth, which went into your head before interest rates went up and prices started coming down. So it's the seller saying to themselves, no, my property is worth this, and I'm going to wait till I get it.
They could be waiting a very long time.
It's like, your property is not worth what you think it is if no one's offering it to you. It's just not worth it. And you need a sort of bit of a jolt to the head to wake you up and out of the sort of zombie state of, no, my property is worth, I know it's worth this. And I understand that people deeply subconsciously connect their future life, their worth, their value, their net worth, maybe what they told their partner is pinned to the notional value of their home that they think they're selling. But if you need to move, you will look back and kick yourself and look, why don't we just bite the bullet and get moved?
Yeah.
And just take the offers that we've got. If you're getting real offers, especially if they're cash offers, and you've had more than one offer, but they're all lower than you want, and you need to move, you've got to take those offers or face the fact that not only are you not going to move, but your home is no longer worth what you think it used to be, and is unlikely to be worth that in real terms for how long, Alex? In real terms.
In real terms,
12 years?
6 to 12 years. Yeah. I mean, it's the fastest recovery ever was about 6, but the last one, going through from 2007 when it dropped off a cliff, 2008, was 12 years.
So, and so many sellers. Another thing I get every day is people sending me screenshots of people who are chasing the market down. Still can't sell it. You've got to price below the market. So anyway, I think I made my point. Sellers need to drop their prices. And this is where agents are doing themselves any favors. Don't be over optimistic. Yeah.
The other thing that we haven't touched on, but it should be important to sellers, is at some point you sell your house, you end up with a nice large sum of money in your bank account. Now, Rishi may have promised that inflation will be down to under 5% by the end of this year. And in fact, the Bank of England, I think we're estimating around 4%. Citibank have just come out with a new thing that'll be 2%. But hey, I'm not sure I believe that. But even so, the longer a seller waits to get the price that no one is offering them the money for, they're losing money on it anyway, because that money is worth less. So if you've been waiting from September of last year because your £2 million the house is not selling, it's not a £2 million house, and you've already lost X percentage over the course of the months. So you're losing money on a daily basis. You may as well actually reduce the price in order to sell it, so that you can then do something else with that money, whether that's buying your next house or doing whatever else you want to do.
I have a friend who says to me all the time, oh, so-and-so can't sell their house. No, it's overpriced. Oh, it just won't sell. It just won't sell, they say. It just won't sell. No, it won't sell because they want too much money for it. It will sell if they let it sell.
Yes.
But this is someone who's known me for years and still doesn't get what I'm saying. No, it's not that it won't sell. It's that no one will pay what they're asking for it. It's not worth it. It's literally that simple. It's literally that simple. Oh, so what do we think? I mean, I haven't even had a chance to think through what happens. I mean, what happens if we get this deep freeze in the housing market?
Well, lots of estate agents go bust, and conveyancers and surveyors and a whole bunch of ancillary people. Even some lawyers will find themselves in trouble. Um, People will stay where they are or return to parents, but I don't think there's no doubt transaction numbers are going to remain low for some time until the market balances itself out. But I don't think it's going to be a deep freeze where we have, half the number of transactions. That would be horrendous. I mean,
Well, just going back to Christopher Watkins' thing on transactions. I mean, I think that if I was an estate agent making a plan for my worst case scenario, I would just for planning purposes, worst case scenario would be 50% drop in transactions from the peak of transactions where it got
yeah,
crazy.
that's possible.
That's 1.2 million.
Yeah.
Now, it would be a big drop down to 600,000. But that would be my worst case scenario planning. Okay, but what does that what does that lack of liquidity do? I mean, what does it do? That makes it harder for people that need to sell. So, for example, people coming to the end of their fixed rate who can't afford the mortgage when it goes up and are forced to sell for that reason aren't going to be able to sell.
No, which is why I think we'll have the repossessions that we were talking about. And I know that the government have said that banks have got to offer lots of forbearance, and that means allowing people to switch to interest-only mortgages for the lifetime of the mortgage. That even whether if you're on universal credit, there'll be money paid towards your mortgage, interest payments, a whole range of things. There's even some mention of bringing back. So you're familiar, obviously, with MIRAS, the mortgage interest relief at source that ran through the 80s and 90s. And it's something that people of a certain generation always forget to mention when they talk about what high interest rates they paid on their mortgages. That's true. But houses were so cheap that the £30,000 that a single person got, or the £60,000 that a couple got, which was, if it was interest on a mortgage, tax-free, made an enormous difference to the actual rate, the real rate that they were paying. So it would drop a 15% rate to.
So just to explain to people who don't understand. So the interest on their mortgage wasn't taxed in their income, right? Is that right?
Up to 30,000 for one person, 60,000 for a couple. And bear in mind, this was in the days where a house was £30,000, up to about 60,000.
So it was tax-free interest on the mortgage. So that reduced those mortgages by about a third.
Yeah, it turned a 15% mortgage into about a 9%, effectively.
Right. Did you say they're talking about bringing it back?
Well, I've heard rumours. A friend of mine, for his sins, knows some of these people that sit in Westminster and do that sort of rubbish. The really irritating sort of criminal element that run the country. And there is some talk that a system like MIRAS may be evaluated. So what I'm saying is,
there is, how much does that piss you off if you're a rent-paying tenant?
A touch. Let's face it. At the moment, there are two classes in society: people who own property and people who are renters. People who own property are protected at every turn because property, whether it's the imputed rent, the real rent, or the construction industry, forms 24% of GDP. And therefore, the government cannot see it fail. So they will protect homeowners as much as possible. Now, what that means is that if you happen to be a renter, you're not going to get much protection at all. So, hey, how's your luck?
Right, listen, I think we should wrap this up for too long. Have you got any other? I mean, to me, I think that the deep freeze, I do think we're going to see maybe a quarter or two of tumbleweed blowing through the housing market.
Well, let me put it this way. I've just been doing a little bit of maths over here while we've been chatting. I thought transactions were about 100,000 a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 1.2 million a year, roughly, give or take.
Yeah.
If that was to fall, even to 800,000 across the space of the year, that's 400,000 less transactions.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge amount of work. How many hours go into each transaction? How much effort from all the different parties? It's a lot.
How much value? I mean, how much output is there from this? And this is why I want to get the message across to agents that in a falling market, overvaluing is suicide.
Yeah, but just simply from an agent's income perspective, yeah. So if we were to say back to that 1.5%, and we said that 1.5% for each of those transactions, and we had 800,000 rather than 1.2 million,
yeah,
that is 1.6 billion less of earnings for the estate agency business.
Yeah. And then plus the same for conveyancers and surveyors and all that kind of stuff
Correct.
as well.
It takes billions out of the economy.
Now I want to wrap this up before we hit the 1 hour mark for various reasons. So Alex, I'm going to wrap this up by just saying I really hope that any estate agents that are watching this at least consider this message. Overvaluing even slightly is a potentially fatal mistake in this market. Number one, to sellers, I'm going to say, if you're selling because you need to move, the value of getting your move done is worth more than haggling over a few thousand quid. So just get the deal done. If you've had a bunch of offers and there are no more offers coming in, they're the best you can get, take the best offer and get your move done. And buyers, if you've got a seller that's absolutely stuck to it and you're not too far apart and you can afford to pay what they're asking without going over your maximum comfortable level and you want to live there, do it. Get in there. Just get in there. I promise you, it will be worth it. On that happy note, I'm going to thank everyone who's watched all the way to the end. You can follow Alex on Twitter, Alex Groundwater. And follow me on Twitter, moving_Charlie. I tweet most days. Thank you to everyone for watching. Welcome to all the new subscribers. If you've come all the way to the end, I'll be very impressed. And I'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much, Alex.
Cheers, Charlie. Catch you later.